What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok. So let's get into this one. So today, we're just going to talk about the Mario Barrios versus Manny Pacquiao fight. It's taking place this weekend, this Saturday coming over in America, and this is one of those where I feel kind of saddened that this fight's even taking place, to be honest with you, because Manny Pacquiao is a guy that I've watched throughout his pretty much the whole of his career, the whole span of it, apart from, let's say, the very, very beginning. And yeah, he's been an exceptional servant of boxing, an exceptional, truly a modern day great, 8 division world champion, been there and fought with the absolute best, with elite guys. I mean, his resume, his career is like a who's who of great fighters. I mean, this guy's been in there with, just to name a few greats, Marco Antonio Barrera, Juan Manuel Marquez 4 times. I mean, Eric Morales, Oscar De La Hoya at the end of his career, Floyd Mayweather, Shane Mosley. I mean, that's just a few of the exceptional fighters he's been in there with. But, the guy is a modern day legend of the sport. And I find it very sad that he's fighting this weekend. He's now 46 years old. Barrios is, in my view at least, a hand-picked opponent for Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I think this is just a case of, well, he's still training. Manny Pacquiao is still training, and you see that, okay, he's been doing exhibitions. He hasn't really had a serious fight since, I believe, the fight he had with Keith Thurman, and then he lost to the other Cuban welterweight, and yeah, that's sort of his last action, his last time in action in a proper professional boxing. Other than that, it's been these exhibitions with with kickboxers and stuff like that, and he's not really looked great in his last couple of exhibition fights. Some of them have looked quite competitive, and you get to see flashes of the old Manny Pacquiao, but really and truly, there's been nothing impressive in his last couple of exhibitions, because that's all you can really go on. He won't be as good as he was when he had his last victory against Keith Thurman. Not as good as he was against Ugas and all that. So he's an older fighter now, twilight of his career. I think they've really shouldn't be boxing, but they've obviously handpicked Mario Barrios, because Mario Barrios is a good fighter, but as Punch Perfect Boxing pointed out, he's not really a guy with. Barrios is not really a guy with like the killer instinct that'll be there to take Manny Pacquiao's head off. He's quite respectful. He's quite laid back and stuff, and he's not the most dangerous guy you could find out there at welterweight. So there's a reason. There's a reason why they picked Mario Barrios in order to come back. When certain other guys were there, Ennis, Jerome Boots Ennis, guys like that, Virgil Ortiz, when they're sort of hanging around the division, he didn't come back, and he's coming back against pretty much. Although Barrios is not rubbish, there's nothing wrong. He's a good fighter, but he's sort of the safest option you can get, the least amount of risk you can get, but it's still great risk. And Barrios, yeah, decent fighter. He's lost to Gervonta Tank Davis, but he's been on a decent run of form, current world champion. And for me, I'm favouring Barrios in this fight to take home the W, simply because, as I said, Manny Pacquiao is now 46 years old, and the reality is, as great as he once was, we haven't seen anything from him in recent years that would fill us with confidence. Because I think it would be a different conversation if, let's say, Manny Pacquiao was doing the proper boxing in recent years, and he'd he'd been looking good. He'd been showing the speed and showing the flash of brilliance, and more importantly, he'd been winning fights. If he'd been sort of winning fights in recent years, and it wasn't just these exhibitions, which he hasn't looked particularly good in, if there were some fights in there, very, very recent times, then we could sort of make a case for Manny Pacquiao. But I think being that it's just been these exhibitions, he lost to Yordenis Ugas in his last professional fight, and he didn't look great back then. He beat Furman and he looks good there, but against Ugas, he didn't look particularly good back then. And then this is years later. He hasn't looked great in the exhibitions. So for me, as far as information and what we've seen from Manny Pacquiao, you just can't back him to win this fight. I know that, yes, he's got the huge fan base and he's got people who will believe in him no matter what, just like it was with Mike Tyson, I suppose, to a lesser degree, because Tyson is this like transcendent figure. But there are people thinking Mike Tyson can deal with Jake Paul, and if he's going to knock him out and all that. So, I mean, this is not quite that bad. Pacquiao's not quite as old he's nowhere near as old as Tyson, but he's still been out the sport proper for many years and hasn't put in a good performance for a long, long time now, for several years. So for me, Barrios is going to win this, and I think Barrios probably wins this by TKO. I think it's going to be Manny Pacquiao probably getting stopped on his feet. I reckon it might go late into the fight, around sort of round 9 or thereabouts. I think it's going to go to around those sort of round 9, round 10. I think Barrios might be too respectful to just sort of bash him up. I think it will, he might carry him or give him a chance, not sort of go in for the kill too soon. So I think it's going to be a late stoppage for Mario Barrios, and just based on the things I've said, really, that Barrios is a good fighter. We've seen good performances from him. He's a current boxer, and with Manny Pacquiao, there's nothing really to go on unless you're going on his past greatness. But obviously, that's in the past, and he's now an older man now. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and until next time, it's MKO Boxing, over and out.